Hi, Vidit. Thanks for joining the podcast.
Hey, hi Devaka.
Let us start with a quick intro of yourself, right? What are you doing now?
Yeah, so currently I'm working as a software developer at Blue Optima. So Blue Optima basically is a productivity tool which helps the developers identify how productive they are in writing their code by providing them the metrics like their file maintainability, how frequently they make the commits, how many PRs do they raise, how many times the PR get reviews, and there are all other sort of different metrics that we generate insights on using the version control systems, and
Nice.
then yeah, we can use those metrics to improve our productivity overall and deliver the features more efficiently in a faster way.
So how
So
long you've been with the Blue Optima now?
I've been working with Blue Optima for past 2.5 years.
Nice, nice. It's
So
interesting. I was researching on Blue Optima and I landed on your profile. I didn't even know that Blue Optima had a base in India, right? And then I saw your profile and I got really curious because like your profile had a lot of inputs on competitive programming. I was always curious about this topic, but I never had a person or a contact with whom I can talk about this, right?
Hmm.
So let's start with that. When did you start in this competitive programming, and what was your exposure to it? Like,
so competitive for competitive programming, I started I guess around 2018 when I was in second year of my college.
nice.
So, as usual, I got introduced to competitive programming by some of my senior college mates whom I met, and from there, my competitive programming journey began. And I coded on different platforms for almost like 3 4 years, and then I delved into software developing. And
Nice. How popular is competitive programming as we speak now? Is it pretty normal in academic situation like where everyone is used to this competitive programming?
yeah, mostly yes, in especially in engineering colleges,
Okay.
people do focus on competitive programming a lot because when you are sitting for your first company's placements through campus, competitive programming is the only metric that they look at, like how
Oh,
good
okay.
coder you are.
So
Uh,
it's kind of become the de facto standard, is it? Like, it's like something that you would put in a resume when you're attending a campus interview, is it?
Yeah, and also for shortlisting the candidates for interviews. So there's a pre-screening round. So they'll give you a set of problems which you need to solve in a given time limit. Let's say in 90 minutes you'll have to solve 3 or 4 problems, and then based on the how many, and each problem has certain marks which are defined by the number of test cases that you pass for a particular problem, and then the people with the highest marks gets shortlisted for the further interviews. So
What are some of the well-known platforms if you want to get into competitive programming?
well-known platforms like in India, mostly people do on Code Forces. That's a very famous platform, and it's a non-profit platform that's run by a Russian university. And
Okay.
yeah, and then there's CodeChef. That's totally, it was built in India and it's run in India. Then there's HackerRank. Then there's HackerEarth and a couple of more, Top Coder and AdCoder. So yeah,
So
these are
quite a lot of platforms then, right?
yeah, yeah.
So have you been focusing on any specific languages when it comes to competitive programming?
I mean, for competitive programming, it is usually independent of which
Which
language you code.
language? Okay.
But for starters, people usually prefer to start in and Python because those are the, I would say, most user friendly languages to just get on hands with the algorithmic challenges that you'd like to
Hmm.
solve.
I was about to ask it, like when you said like language agnostic, like the focus is pretty much on the algorithms, not
Yes.
necessarily on the applications, etc. It's pretty much algorithms, data structures, etc. Okay. So what kind of problems typically come there? Like, can you give me a glimpse if you
So
remember?
it usually, I mean, it depends on what kind of topic that you are. So there are different category of problems. You start with the first thing that you do is arrays. Then you move to something like string manipulation and things like that. Then you move into stacks, queues, and all sort of different data structures. For each of them, there are a variety of problems that you can solve. Then there's trees, then there are graphs. So this is in the increasing order of the complexity that we go.
Okay. So there was I mean, like you started competitive programming like before the Gen AI. I think now we have to speak before Gen AI and after Gen AI, I guess,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So before Gen AI, you have been preparing, and now Gen AI has changed the world, of course, right?
Mhm.
So how are you seeing that change? Like, how are you observing the change when it comes purely from knowledge gathering perspective or from the learning perspective? How has the world changed for you?
So talking about my experience prior to Gen AI, so at that time, like if I see it now, that was pretty, I would say, a hustling kind of thing that used to go on, because there on internet there are a lot of resources, but to start on something which you have no idea about, you need to read on different things. You need to, read different blogs, watch different videos on different algorithms on how can you solve a particular type of problem and things like that. So, and yeah, I mentioned about Code Forces. So, Code Forces has their own blog section where people do write their own, interesting algorithms or any interesting problem that they found about. And you read about it, like how do you go about thinking about a certain kind of problem, and then you can solve it, and how you can apply it in future when you see that problem in that particular algorithmic challenge. That is how
What
it
about
used.
what about now? Like, how are you
Yeah.
learning now?
So about now, it has become way more easier, because since we have all these LLM models that really help you out with the basic stuff. Let's say someone is starting with binary search, so that's the first algorithm, one of the first algorithms that you will learn about when you solve arrays. So in that case, previously I would just watch some videos and solve certain questions, but now your video is
Hey,
freezing.
don't worry about that. Are you able to hear me out?
Yeah, I'm able to hear
Yeah,
you.
yeah. So it's basically like there will be some buffering, so that's why like this platform is helping actually. So you might be seeing me blur, or you might be seeing that my video is stuck. You can just ignore. As long as you're able to hear my question and able to answer, you should be fine. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so now we were talking about binary search. So now you can just directly go on any of the platforms and just type in what is binary search, how do we go about it, and then it will give you step by step algorithm on, like, first basically you need to sort the array, then you can just look for a certain element in that array and then get the output. So things like that, it really helps. Then I mean, from there it helps you to get a starting point, so that you
Mm.
don't have to waste your time in just gathering some resources or just reading about certain stuff. So,
Mm.
and these models really help you to break it down into so simpler and no voice steps that it's pretty easy to understand for someone who doesn't really have a lot of prior experience.
Okay, okay.
So that
So
is where it.
so have you been hustling between all these models like that are coming on your way, or like you already chosen your number one model which you use on a daily
Uh,
basis?
on a daily
I know it's
basis,
a thick question, but you can be transparent about it. Don't worry about my employment.
yeah. So on a daily basis, we usually use like Gemini and ChatGPT. But previously, when I was in college, I remember, I guess around 2019 or 2020, GitHub started their pre-registrations for Copilot, right?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I registered for that, and the plugin was really helpful because it would solve. So, I mean, I still remember that you just need to type in a comment that this is the problem, write a function to solve this problem, and it will write a function for you in a well-defined manner. So, if you're struggling with some standard problem, then you can get a good solution for it with all the comments and everything. So that really helps to build your understanding and critical thinking around how do you go about it.
Okay. So it looks like you have been following this GitHub Copilot for sure, like right from day one, like from the early stages,
Yes,
right?
yes,
And
yes.
that's fantastic actually. So if you have to pick the your favorite language and the IDE, like what is it?
Favorite language for now, it's Java because I've been working in Java for past 4 years. Since
Okay.
start of my software engineering career, I've been working in Java only.
Okay.
And since it's Java, then it's IntelliJ. So
Okay.
I don't have any exposure to other
Okay.
IDs.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Still, VS Code is not good enough for Java developers. It looks like, right? Like, okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
But there's a lot of improvements on your way, and yeah, fantastic. And when you're not, I mean, like on one side, like you have been a competitive programmer, and you've been gaining all this knowledge, and you also have the power of generative AI now, right? How is it
Mhm.
changing the way you are applying this knowledge in your day-to-day life, like especially for work? Has that changed too? Like,
Yes, it has changed a lot because I personally feel that previously, when I started my software engineering journey, when you're just starting out, you are not really aware of a lot of things that go on in a production environment. It
hmm,
can be as simple as not knowing a particular method, what it does, to some complex piece of code that you want to understand. So previously, when I started, I would have to spend a lot of time on internet, mostly Stack Overflow and certain blogs, to just get to the point on how does this thing work or why is it written in a certain way. But after like this evolvement of all these Gen AI models, it has become pretty easy because you get everything in a snap, right? You just type in what is the use of this particular method or this annotation or this package, how does it work, and it gives you a really good and a detailed answer on why it is used, how it is used, where do we use it, along with some certain documentation links, which you can obviously deep dive into if you want to. But yeah, so it saves a lot of time, especially on when you are trying to onboard onto a new platform or a product or anything. So
hmm,
that is where it really helps.
right. I think like we all know the major features that are coming with this Gen AI powered tools like GitHub Copilot and all, right? Be it coding assistant, being it helps you in refactoring, it helps you in documentation, test scripts, understanding the code, etc. But what are the one or two features that resonated with you very well, which you're really really happy about? That hey, this has helped me a lot. If you have to pick one or two features.
One of the features I would say definitely like my programming buddy. Sometimes like there are certain things which you just, I mean, you don't really want to type some lengthy lines of code for
Okay.
like it's pretty simple, there's nothing complex, but there's a lot of code involved in it. So you
Okay.
just define certain steps like this is how it should be done, and it does it. If you give a really well defined prompt to it, then it gives you the, I mean, well generated code. There's no
Okay.
doubt about it.
The- it's interesting. We keep talking about it, in my professional life also. So what you're talking about is like basically it's increasing the satisfaction in your
Yes.
day-to-day life. So
Huh.
that you are able to focus your energy on more challenging stuff rather than mundane stuff. Like, as you said, like, you know that this is how it has to be done. So where's the challenge? Okay. So you don't want to do that. Okay.
Yeah. And the same
Nice.
thing that you mentioned, that it really helps to just focus on some more critical things that you might want to look into rather than just, spending some hours on writing some lazy piece of code that people don't usually like. So, yeah.
So, what was if I can, like, we all go through this, right? Like, what was the initial stigma that you had in adopting such tools? Like you might have heard it from your peers, your colleagues, your friends, and all. What is the initial stigma when they wanted to adopt it in their professional life? I think personal life it's easy, right? You just go and you try it out, right? But professional
Yes,
life is a
yes.
bit tricky. Like, what are the one, two, three challenges that you have observed that this is the reason why we are not able to adopt it?
First thing I would definitely say is security,
Okay.
because since you are sending your code to some third party servers which will process it and give you the output. So that thing you need to be really careful about, that you don't send in some, critical stuff like maybe
So
some act.
it's like that cloud era, right? When whenever I'm shipping my code to the cloud and all, like the initial days of the cloud journey. I think we are experiencing it again now with AI. Like that time, like we don't want to do anything with cloud. We don't we want to keep everything in our own hardware. Now cloud is pretty much normal, right? Like it's
Yeah.
a trusted platform. I think now we
Yes.
are going through this journey wherein we are having all kind of doubts about AI, and now we are taking one box after another. Now, kind of, I think now it's a trusted friend, I guess, right?
Yes.
Sorry, I
Yes.
stopped you. What are the other concerns?
So sometimes when you have a complex challenge to solve and you are unable to define it properly, then the
Okay.
model starts to go down in a different direction, which
So it's taking
eventually,
you in a rabbit hole. Okay. Because you
yes,
are not able to define and give a proper prompt. That's your
yeah,
feeling. Okay. Okay.
yes, yes. Sometimes that does happen. Like it happens, like you think something, but you are unable to put into words exactly because it's a model. It doesn't know the all the context that you have about a certain thing.
Yet.
Yes, yes. It's
Right.
a
Okay.
stress.
So
So
you feel like, if there was a mind reader on the other end, it will be much more better in terms of transcribing your thoughts, making into a prompt, and then call the GenAI tool. Okay,
yeah, but
fair enough.
that would be great. But I don't want that because then what will be my role if it can only think everything?
Okay. Anything else you wanted to add it in terms of challenges?
Challenges, I guess mostly the biggest challenges we face is the privacy itself, because
Okay.
that's something that companies are really, really strict about, and you cannot let go of any of your proprietary code or algorithm to someone else. So
Right,
that
right,
has to
right.
be the biggest challenge.
No, no, no. Fair enough. Fair enough. These are all common concerns like we face on a day-to-day basis, like when we are on the field, when we are meeting the customer. This is like definitely the top one or two things that are there in their head, primarily from their corporate security, etc., etc.
Yes.
Definitely, yes. So what we'll do next with it, like, first of all, I should thank you for this. Like, you agreed to show some demonstrations of like how you are using Gen AI for various software development tasks. So what we'll do is like we'll go into each of these use cases, and then maybe you can share your screen and open up your favorite IDE, whatever it is, and then pick up your favorite tool and then start showing some demonstrations. Yeah, good enough?
Yes, yes, we can do that.
Okay, awesome. Okay.